That's the broad gate. Look at the narrow gate. It's a contrast between easy and hard, between narrow and wide. The King James Version says that it's a straight gate. That word straight doesn't mean straight like a line. It means a hard squeeze of a situation, that there is this constrictedness about the Christian life. When you become a Christian, you've got to be small. Self has to be small. In fact, in Luke's gospel, when he talks about this text, he uses the word strive to enter the narrow gate. It's the word agonizomai. It's where we get our word agony. It's an agonizing thing that when God calls you and he's calling you into the kingdom, that there is this agonizing sense of loss where you say, I can't live life the way that I want to live life. Jesus is going to be my Lord. And for many of us to enter into the Christian life, we're going to have to be like C.S. Lewis, who said that the Lord drugged me into the kingdom kicking and screaming. For some of us, it's going to be that God's plow of divine sovereignty is going to have to bring suffering into our life to break us and to mold us and to bring agony into our life so that we'll finally enter into the kingdom. Strive to enter into the narrow gate. It requires confession. It requires coming to the end of yourself, the end of your rope. It requires setting aside your pride, setting aside your self-sufficiency. It will require tears. It will require spiritual mourning. I'm not saying that you have to cry to become a Christian, but there has to be a brokenness over your sin. There has to be a meekness, a true sense in which you say, I'm yours, Lord. You're the boss. There has to be a true desire for the righteousness which only God can give. It's a narrow gate. And not only is it a narrow gate, the narrow gate leads to the hard way. And the hard way is restrictive in many sense. When you think about Christian lifestyle, Christian ethics, in many ways, it's hard, it's restrictive. You can't do whatever you want to do. You can't say of the Bible whatever you want to say of the Bible. You can't make the soft text hard. You can't make the hard text soft. You can't live however you want to live. You can't sleep with whoever you want to sleep with. You can't take whatever that you want to take. You can't live however you want to live. It requires obedience. It requires discipleship. It requires self-denial. It requires being a hearer of the word and a doer of the word, not just a hearer only. It requires spiritual warfare. It requires cross-bearing. It requires loving your enemies. It requires forgiving those who sin against you. There's a cost to discipleship. And the road isn't easy. It's a hard road. But doesn't Jesus say, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest? Doesn't John say that his commandments are not burdensome? That's true. And there is a sense in which there is this joy in the Christian life, and there is a grace in the Christian life which create in you a heart that desires righteousness and a heart that desires obedience. But if you're going to obey the Lord, if you're going to walk through the narrow gate and you're going to walk along the hard way, there is a cost. It creates pain in your life. And for those of you who are Christians, you know this. You know this when you could have got the promotion, but you stuck to do what was right. You know this when this boy over here was wanting you to sleep with him, and you said, "No, I don't live that way." And you lost your boyfriend, you lost your prom date. It's hard when a beautiful woman who isn't your wife is staring you down. She wants you more than anything, and you say, "No, I made a vow to my wife. I'm not going to cheat." It's hard when you want to spend your money however you want to spend your money, and Jesus is saying the kingdom has a different set of standards when it comes to your finances. It is a hard way, but this way, what does it say it leads to? It leads to life. Zoe, eternal life. Life that is qualitatively greater than any life you could ever experience. And so Jesus is saying, whatever you had to give up, whether it was a pretty lady or a fancy new job or a new car or a boyfriend or a girlfriend who made you popular, whatever you had to give up, what you need to know is that if you continue on this road, it will be given back to you many-fold.